Today, we're going to dig into the latest numbers from Heatec Jietong Holdings. And trust me, this isn't just a boring financial report. Nope. Beneath the surface, there's a really fascinating story about growth, some serious challenges, and a central puzzle that, together, we're going to solve.
And that puzzle starts right here. I mean, this is a question that just jumps right off the page at you. It's a classic business head-scratcher. How on earth is it possible for a company to sell more stuff, bring in more cash, but somehow end up losing even more money than before? It just doesn't add up, right? Well, that's the mystery we're going to unravel today.
All right, so first things first, let's unpack those big headline numbers. We're going to look at the first 9 months of 2025 to see this paradox in black and white. This will give us a really clear picture of what's going on with the company as a whole. Okay, so check this out, because the contrast here is pretty stark. On one hand, you've got revenue hitting $15.2 million. That's up a solid 6% from last year. Now, normally, that's something you'd pop the champagne for. But then you look at the other side. The net loss for that same period was $0.7 million. And it's not just a loss, it's actually 33% worse than the loss from 2024. More sales, but a much deeper hole. This is the heart of the mystery right here.
So, to figure out what is really going on, we have to look under the hood. We got to look past those big, flashy numbers and dissect the company itself. And the answer, you'll see, lies in what you could call a tale of two segments. Because it turns out not all parts of this business are pulling in the same direction. Not at all.
And this is the absolute key to understanding everything. The overall numbers are actually hiding a dramatic split in performance. You know, it's like a boat where one person is rowing forward as hard as they possibly can, but someone else at the back is rowing backward. The boat might still be moving, yeah, but it's fighting against itself the entire time. And boom, this chart just lays it all out for us. It breaks down where the money is coming from and where it's going. The heat exchanger division, that's our hero. That's the person rowing forward, bringing in an extra $1.7 million. That is fantastic. But then you have the piping segment rowing backward, with revenue dropping by almost $1 million. This one chart explains the whole thing. The powerful engine of the heat exchanger business was being dragged down by the massive anchor of the piping business. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from the company's own management. They say it right there, clear as day. The strong performance of one part was partially offset by the decline in the other. They are completely aware of this internal tug of war. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We know what's happening and why the loss is getting bigger. So that leads to the next huge question. Can the company actually handle this? I mean, is it financially strong enough to get through the storm and turn things around? For that, we need to switch gears and look at the balance sheet. So this gives us a quick health check. Think of it this way. On the left, you've got current assets. That's basically the company's short-term cash and resources, what they have on hand or expect to get soon. That's $11.7 million. Then on the right, current liabilities. Those are the bills they have to pay in the near future. That's $7.1 million. The big takeaway here, the what we have column is comfortably bigger than the what we owe column, and that's a very good sign. And the difference between those two numbers is this. $4.7 million in what's called net working capital. Now, this is more than just some accounting term. It's a vital sign. It's the company's financial cushion, its safety net. It's what gives them the breathing room to pay their people, run the business, and actually invest in a new strategy, even while part of the business is struggling. And once again, management themselves confirms it. They call their working capital position healthy. So even though the income statement tells a kind of scary story about a growing loss, the balance sheet tells a different story, one of underlying stability. It looks like the foundation is solid enough to build a recovery on. They've got the resources to make a move. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. We know the problem, and we know they have a stable financial base. So, what's the game plan? What are they actually going to do about it? Let's look at the challenges they see and the big moves they're making to turn this ship around. Management points to two main enemies they're fighting. First, high operating costs, things like wages and staff expenses that are just eating away at their profits. And second, no surprise here, lower demand for their piping services. That's the anchor we saw dragging them down earlier. These are the two big problems they know they have to solve. And here it is, their three-step battle plan. First, a practical move.
cut costs. They're doing things like reducing rental expenses. Pretty straightforward. Second, a strategic move to play to their strengths. Restructure. They're reorganizing their star performer, the heat exchanger business, to make it even stronger. And third, the really tough decision. Divest. This means it's time to cut their losses and sell off the parts of the business that just aren't working.
And that divestment plan, it is not just talk. They are already taking action. Right after this financial period ended, in November 2025, the company actually sold off one of its subsidiaries. This is a massive signal that management is serious about executing this plan. They're actively trimming away the parts of the business that are just a drag on the bottom line.
So when you bring it all together, Heatec Jietong is in the middle of a huge strategic pivot. They're attacking high costs, they're doubling down on their star division, and they're selling off the rest. It's a classic case of trimming the fat to focus on your core strengths. And that leaves us with the billion-dollar question for the future. Will these big, decisive moves be enough to finally turn that impressive growth into actual, real profit and solve the paradox we started with? Now that is the story to watch.